Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a replay between, is it DIMAGA or DIMAGA? I'll call him, DIMAGA. DIMAGA sounds a little bit easier to say. Anyways, back over here we have WhiteRa spawning as the red Protoss player at the 6 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have DIMAGA spawning at the 3 o'clock position of Metalopolis. Taking a quick look over here, we have this Overlord now trying to do a quick scout, trying to see if his opponent WhiteRa did spawn in fact at the 12 o'clock position. We know in fact that he did not. WhiteRa on the other hand now moving out with that probe and putting up a pylon over here on this low ground. So perhaps we will see some early expansion coming in from WhiteRa. WhiteRa may try to do an early expand and try to get a little bit of an economic advantage on DIMAGA. Coming back over here, do not see any indication on a 10 pool, so perhaps going to go for a 13 pool instead. Probe now quickly comes in and then just sits on this ramp trying to see if there is in fact going to be any additional drones moving out. So that probe now coming in, perhaps going to try to start zapping some of those units. No, I thought I saw a zap. I heard a zap. Nope, no zap. And now we have DIMAGA moving out with this drone. So that drone is going to in fact be doing some scouting and not doing any fast expansions. Taking a look at that here, in comes that probe being microed very well. So trying to micro that probe very well. Taking a look over here, DIMAGA now coming in with that hatchery, gonna go ahead and go for a 14 hatchery. So 14 hatchery for DIMAGA, so very fast expansion attempt as well. Taking a look, WhiteRa perhaps going to start trying to focus down. Is he going to build a hatchery here? That'd be a really weird positioning. Taking a look at this probe perhaps, or drone perhaps trying to stop that probe from putting down a nexus. And oh, very nicely done. A quick zap. Drone runs away, and then now that drone's going to be forced to push back away. Taking a look, there are no spawning pools yet. So WhiteRa realizing that there is no spawning pool, going for a hatchery or a nexus as well. So both players doing some very gutsy moves early in the game. We're not going to see a zealot perhaps until like what, the 3-minute mark in this game, and no zerglings either. So both players just trying to go for a very heavy economic advantage. Probe trying its best to zap away at that spawning pool. That spawning pool, however, will be finished. Gateway now being warped in as well, so gateway is going to take some time. Perhaps that drone wants to try to take down that pylon as well. Secondary gateway now being put in, so in order to really come in, this looks more like a Forge build, or Forge Nexus build, as no Zerglings will be able to run in through here or here. They're going to have to come around, and if there's a cannon here and here, that's going to make it very difficult. Oh yeah, down goes that Forge. So that Forge means that those Zerglings are going to have to come back around here, and even a single force field from a sentry would just spell havoc and wreak havoc in this position, as those cannons would still be able to push back in. So taking a look at this, Nexus now completed, hatchery already completed as well. Spawning pool now up and running, and taking a look at the production, we have a queen and no additional units, and no real armies. About 2 queens being produced, so 1 queen here and here. So trying to run off of very heavy queen production. And look at DIMAGA. DIMAGA in fact now going for another hatchery over here by these high yield minerals, and unless WhiteRa tries to take one of those Onaga watchtowers, I do not think that's going to be hidden or revealed. So that's going to be hidden for quite some time. Cannon now being produced there, as stated earlier. Forge not getting upgraded yet. Still just mining a lot of minerals. Taking a look at the income, WhiteRa mining at 800, almost 900 per second. Also getting some pylons back up here. We'll see how those are used. Hatchery now up and running over here. We'll see if in fact there's going to be a queen, and then trying to spawn larva over there. A fair number of Zerglings down over here. WhiteRa not going to lair yet, so it does in fact getting some gas, and now getting some roaches from that backside. Taking a look, down goes that single probe getting taken down very quickly by those swarm of Zerglings. Single queen still trying to offer a little bit of protection, and WhiteRa is going to be in trouble unless he figures out that what DIMAGA's strategy in fact is. Forge not doing any upgrades yet, so those zealots will not be able to really cut through those Zerglings that quickly. WhiteRa supply locked at 44 food. Meanwhile, DIMAGA sitting at 37 over 38. No queen yet over at this top position. Taking a look, a creep tumor now being used. Oh, so creep tumor by DIMAGA, very important in order to spawn that creep tumor early, in order to try to get that creep spawned all across the ramp. If that creep is in fact spawned across the ramp very quickly, those Zerglings and those roaches will be able to reinforce this positioning very easily. Forge now being upgraded for that level 1 weapon attack. for those Zealots and any Stalkers or Sentries that are produced. Zerglings now coming in, Roaches coming in as well. We'll see what's going to really be happening here as those Roaches perhaps are going to be able to come in from that backside, start focusing down some of these particular buildings. Poor Zergling going to try to take down that one unit. Roaches able to squeeze back through here, doing a little bit of a hit and attack mud, and that tight positioning is actually very bad for those Zealots in order to fight. Stalkers now being warped in as well. Zerglings trying to run around, and Zergling getting caught over there, so those Zealots now trying to do a main push off onto that main location. No, trying to push back as those Zerglings now trying to push back. The Stalker now coming in, taking down that Overlord as more Stalkers being warped in. So a momentary attack has been averted. Taking a look back over here, no, 3 larvae waiting perhaps to turn into drones. There they go. And now more Roaches trying to fight back against those Stalkers. Stalkers trying to pull back towards those cannons as they do not want to get caught out of position. Units are able to squeeze through here, but they're going to be coming single file against that Photon Cannon. A secondary Photon Cannon would be very resourceful as well. Zergling now running around the map. Gonna perhaps activate that Xel'Naga Watchtower. Yeah, one Zergling at each Xel'Naga Watchtower in order to gain sight. So very nicely done. Zerglings activating those Xel'Naga Watchtowers. Roaches down here on that low ground. Queen taking a look at the income. Income still now, what, 1,300 for WhiteRa and almost 1,400, dancing around 1,400 for DIMAGA, even though WhiteRa has a 44 harvester count compared to DIMAGA's 41. Zerglings still sitting at that front door. Forge nearing completion, so that Forge is going to, in fact, like pretty much allow those Zealots to slice through those Zerglings very, very easily. Probe now moving out once again, perhaps going to try to, doing a little bit of scouting, make sure that there are no high yield minerals in play, but in fact there are going to be high yield minerals, and his heart's probably going to sink just a little. No, that Probe decided to push back. Zergling getting taken down. So what we have 5 Stalkers and 6 Zealots, or 6 Stalkers and 6 Zealots moving around. Do not see a warp gate currently. A warp gate now being researched and now going up to 6 gateways. And we also have Immortals coming into production. So we'll see how DIMAGA really wants to counteract this. Another creep tumor most likely going to be put in this position, and then they're going to be able to just spawn a lot of creep very, very shortly. Taking a look at this. A large number of Roaches and Zerglings coming into position. Taking a look at the production, we have no upgrade yet, and we have an Infestor Pit coming in. Taking a look, we have a fight over here in the middle of the field. Zerglings getting a single Immortal getting focused down very quickly, so those Roaches should be able to just have a field day with the rest of this army as those Roaches trying to push back in. But those Roaches, or those Stalkers with Blink, will be able to focus down a lot of those units. A single Roach now trying to come back in, and now we also have more Stalkers being warped in as well. Those Stalkers should be able to blink, and I thought I saw Blink. No, I don't know what I saw. Okay, apparently I was confused. That was not a blink, as there is no blink on these units. And these units are just currently fighting back and forth. Roaches trying to move back along that creep. Zerglings now trying to come in, able to swarm the rest of these units. Zerglings getting, or those Stalkers getting caught up on those Zerglings, and more Zerglings coming around from that backside. So backside, now the poor Immortal is going to get focused down very easily, as well as those Roaches once again going to move back out. Zealots now coming in with those attack upgrades. No armor upgrades on those Zerglings. Single Immortal trying to focus down more units. Zealots trying to warp in as well as those Zealots without charge, and a single Immortal just trying to focus down more and more of those units. And just focusing down even more Roaches now trying to come in, trying to chase in after those Zerglings. Zerglings just swarming around those Zealots. Zealots able to fight back fairly well, but there's just too many numbers. WhiteRa gonna have to use some very good force fields or guardian shields in order to push this attack back. And a single Immortal able to focus down more units. Zerglings now coming in as well. So Zerglings, a lot of Zerglings coming over here. And now a telemarketer is calling me. Great. Zealots now trying to come back in. Roaches trying to focus down. Zerglings able to just push in on this positioning. Stalkers being warped in fairly safely as more Immortals being built in from that backside. And Zerglings now just trying to rush back in. A single Immortal on that high ground. And this game looks to be GG, as WhiteRa will not be able to push off this constant attack. More Zerglings running in. Are we upgrading? We are not upgrading to Hive Tech yet, as that single Immortal able to push back more of those units. Zerglings going to start surrounding, and I wish my phone would just hang up so that telemarketer goes away. Zerglings now swarming, and WhiteRa finally saying GG. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'm going to go hang up on that telemarketer and automated message system. Ugh.